have our first roundtable, which will bring more superstars from the industry to talk about the future of the wholesale business. So I think we all agree the wholesale business has been transforming and is transforming more and faster. It's driven by consolidation, regulation, emerging technologies, shifting partnership models. And this is creating both challenges and opportunities today in 2025 and beyond. So this is what we're going to talk about today with our panelists of experts. If I can welcome them to the stage, I would like to welcome Mike Mills. He's Business Director, Gamma Service Providers. Budi Satria Dharma Purba is CEO of Telin. Emmanuel Rochas is CEO of Orange Wholesale International. And last but not least, Nicolas Barret, Chief Growth Officer at iBASIS. Guys, welcome to the stage.
Hello.
How are you today? Are you ready for a panel?
Very good.
Don't be scared, guys. Don't be scared. This is virtual. I can't bite you. I can't hit you. You're safe from me today.
Mark keynotes earlier.
Yes,
Not an easy job to be just after Mark.
I agree, but I believe in you guys. We can do it. So maybe to start us, now that Mark has set the scene, he's talked about so many things. Now let's maybe dig a bit deeper in the wholesale topic, in the wholesale business. So what do you think are the biggest forces shaping the wholesale telecom market in 2025? Is it consolidation, price pressure, technology, something else? Emmanuel, why don't you get us started?
Yes, hello Isabelle, hello everyone. Well, maybe a few highlights of what I can see in the industry currently. First of all, is that voice is still there, still decreasing, but probably at a slower pace than what we have seen in the past. So voice is still there. Probably the second highlight is that it's not the same for messaging. Messaging is really disrupted with a number of alternatives to traditional A2P, one-time password test, and we need to and we see that we need to embrace these new technologies and prepare for the APIs. Third highlight is about connectivity. The connectivity is exploding. We've seen that with the COVID, with a lot of requirements for more capacity, also more reliability of our networks. And now we have the AI coming in and developing that fast that the huge need for new connectivity. What else I could say about roaming? Roaming is still growing, not as fast as from the COVID post-COVID recovery period, but we see it growing still. And what is the game changer here is eSIM. eSIM is expected to grab like 28-30% of the traveler market in the next years. And finally, maybe my last highlight would be about satellite. Satellite now is providing a really interesting continuous of solutions to complete our portfolio of connectivity. And also we need to work with the satellite players to interconnect our networks together in a much more automated and smooth way than in the past.
Okay. What about network as a service? I mean, a lot of people are talking about network as a service. How do you think this is impacting the industry? Budi?
Yeah, thanks, Isabelle. I think NAS has become a buzzword the past few years, right? In fact, we see some report that is growing. In fact, around 30% year-on-year growth, and telco can take around up to 60% of the share along the value chain. But what I see is it's not really in place yet at what it's supposed to be. I think there will be like three key factors to make NAS become playing a significant role in the industry. NAS is always associated with a simplicity and a flexibility solution, right? So there are three key factors. The first one is it should have a large scale in terms of network, including all the global reach. So, and we understand that no telco that can provide and cover the whole world. So it will involve many carriers to collaborate together to provide large scale in terms of the network and coverage. The second thing is need to provide an end-to-end solution because we have many carriers that need to be involved there. Then everybody needs to be aligned and follow the standard. Thanks God that we have the MAF, MEF, and then the TM forum that working on this standard, and we see that a lot of alignment now in terms of the standardization among all these forum. So it's good things, at least answering some of the key point that Mark highlighted earlier. The third things, which is really important, because it's not just about the technology, but how to make a NAS is economically accessible or affordable in the market. Because there will be like a shifting in terms of the business model when we have NAS. The traditional, basically customers will bear all the risk and the cost. They will do the over provision or subscription just to anticipate the surge of demand. But now it's going to be shifted to the provider. So then how the provider react on this? Simple ways is, okay, they will charge on the premium, but it will not work because we want that the adoption from the customers will be growing, right? So we should provide the same price with all the luxuries that NAS are providing to the customers. So to address that issues, I strongly believe that if we have the federated model NAS platform, where most of the asset owner, the telco that has an asset, contribute to that platform, which is the federated model, it will drive more economical and economically affordable for the customers, because they have their own asset that can be contributed, and at the same time it will provide a large scale in terms of the network. So we need to push on that area, Isabelle. Yeah.
Okay. What about regulation consolidation? Do you think that is increasingly impacting the business or not?
I mean, let me answer the regulatory one as best I can, Isabelle. I think regulation right now is probably one of the biggest challenges everyone's facing in the audience, in the room, and it's kind of, we're in a world where the global regulation is different in every country from a compliance point of view, and then people are having to try and manage all of that within doing their business. And you think about things like fraud and misuse, which is probably the biggest thing we're trying to stamp out with regulation. It's just a real challenge to have to navigate all of that within your business when you've got different requirements. If you look at Europe as just an example, the regulations are broadly trying to do the same thing, but they're being implemented and executed by every regulator in a different way. It just causes a massive amount of overhead. And I think as well, voice particularly has got a real challenge with misuse right now, and that's sort of one of the things driving the regulation change and the regulation updates. And really, it's definitely creating opportunities, but it's creating challenges. I think if you think about how voice has been handled historically in international voice, that it was quite straightforward if it was international IDD type business, whereas now that's not the case. You have to deliver local service globally into individual countries to the right level of regulatory compliance, and that's definitely created some challenges in the market, but also some opportunities, I would say.
Okay. And what about consolidation? I've been saying the industry is going to consolidate for about a decade. I don't know. Is it happening now? Is it now impacting the business, the consolidation? Are you seeing this happening now?
I can take this one. I think that actually we see, let's say a lot of, opportunities in terms of consolidation. I think it's driven. I totally agree with Emmanuel when he's saying that voice is still there. But voice also suffered from the declining trend for a few years, and also I think the voice over LTE implementation remove off the table significant volumes. So I think that few parties have to say, okay, maybe I have to deal with it in a different way. And definitely, I think in the mature market, which is still very fragmented market, I think it makes sense. And also voice, for instance, is more and more complex. So I think it's volumes are lower and lower, but the complexity is higher, is bigger and bigger every day. So I think it can make sense. But I also think that if we come also on the messaging, and again, I agree with the fact that there's disruptive technology. Sometimes also it can help also to acquire some side skills as well, because talking about, let's say, messaging, RCS, or all those type of things, it's important to, and at the end of the day, most of the time, it's all about authentication or, let's say, customer engagement. You don't care. You want to, let's say, to engage your customers, and the end user doesn't care if it's through messaging or RCS, let's say SMS messaging or WhatsApp. He wants a solution. So I think that we see a significant trend in terms of consolidation, just because it makes sense from a product standpoint. And I think that's also, we are in a market, and can talk about IoT, where it's, I'd say the beauty of telecom, it's highly scalable. I mean, economy of scale are, let's say, very, very significant into the telecom industry. We are all running, let's say, complex platforms with complex, let's say, smart people to manage those platforms. It makes sense that but those platforms are able to most of the time to onboard significant volume. So we really think, and at least that's what we observe. And also coming back to the point of Mark in his previous session, it was, okay, you need to go fast, okay? And let's see, sometimes build or buy, maybe the buy also makes more sense.
Yes, I agree completely. And you mentioned technology. What do you think is the technology that will have the biggest impact on the wholesale business going forward? And you're not allowed to say AI, so anything apart from AI.
Okay, so I would not say AI because let's say obviously AI, but it's everywhere. But I think anyway it will impact all the segment and all the teams in telecom and beyond. What, let's say, what I can observe is I think it's a lot about eSIM. Because obviously we can think about travel eSIM, okay, which is for the timing, especially for many members of the MEF, a significant opportunity, because we are talking about, let's say, roaming services. But what we see is also, thanks to eSIM, we see new players, and I would say smart players, many players coming from the software environment. Let's say we were a bit reluctant to consider telecom, because for them telecom was still a bit related to the dumb pipe story, and now we see, and I think, I don't know if it's just because it's they can present that in their financial report as a service, maybe less as a commodity, but we see, let's say, new players who are coming to the market with a very nice added value in terms of customer proposal. And we see, let's say, different players coming from the security environment, from, let's say, the real end user environment coming with into the game. And I personally think that it's within the MNO, you will have the ones who are able to embrace it, and the one who are a bit reluctant. The only caveat is, I think it's very different from one geography to the other one, because we see that definitely eSIM technology has not the same level of capability.
Okay.
I would probably add, Isabelle, just to put a bit of a UK perspective on it, we're an MVNO, we're certainly seeing that, to echo that point, we're seeing software brands and anybody with a distribution network as being, you know, a really interesting opportunity for wholesalers, and certainly that's playing out in our pipelines. And you know, you've just got to look at what people like Revolut have done, where they've added eSIM into their financial services package and things like that, to look at some of the market opportunities that I think some of that technology can drive, which is really interesting and exciting for this audience.
Okay. And what about on the network side? Any technology that you think will impact the business going forward?
Yeah, maybe Isabelle, I would mention the softwareization, and Budi was talking about network as a service. Clearly, softwareization of the network is enabling that. Disaggregation of the boxes, the equipment, and the software running on those equipments is clearly a key lever to improve. First of all, to improve the automation of the network, the programmability of the network, and of course the cost structure of the network. But beyond that, it enables a number of new use cases around NAS, new ways of consuming the network, like on demand. And clearly, it opens new usages and also new ways to interconnect the networks together in a much more automated way. And that's really for me the trigger for making our networks a real platform on which a lot of innovation will be able to be built, not necessarily by us carriers, but by developers, by hyperscalers, and a lot of people who will be able to use our network in a very automated and standard way of consuming them.
Okay. So we've talked about the biggest trends. We talk about technology. Now let's talk about money. We're all here because of the money. Do you think there's any opportunities beyond voice and data in the wholesale business to make money? And if so, where is it? So we can go and grab it. Mike, you seem to know where the money is.
I think what I'd say from a Gamma perspective is we see significant opportunity in a lot of those applications moving to the cloud and wholesale telcos monetizing those applications moving to the cloud. So we look in the comm space, you've got the explosion of Teams and pretty much all of the hyperscalers offering communication services. Well, actually figuring out how you monetize that unstoppable kind of drive towards the cloud has significant opportunity for telco. So you've got capability to do, broader enablement. You've got messaging. You've got, on top of that, professional services, ability to deploy managed services. It allows the telco to really, begin to go into some of those cloud and IT markets where historically there's been, great money in services and managed services, etc. So I'd definitely call that one out. I think the key point and sort of key opportunity for telcos to win though is really around. We've touched on some of the API stories, but being able to communicate and work with those cloud providers at a scale and pace and levels of automation that they want to work with is fundamentally key to driving that growth and success, because they operate on a completely different scale. I mean, pretty much everyone's on the coast probably struggle to try and keep pace with some of the tech change in some of those big players, and it's the polar opposite to the way telecoms is built, which is engineered to scale and massively robust. And those cultural challenges, I think, are, if you can plot a way through those cultural challenges, the big hyperscalers know they need the telco networks to monetize the software, and actually that's a great opportunity for everyone to look at. I think irrespective of whatever market you're in, you see stuff about Microsoft coming out with eSIM propositions that work within Teams. You've got people doing FMC. You've got lots of things that are enabling those applications that I think drive exciting new revenue streams for the wholesale industry.
Okay. Guys, you agree with Mike, or is there any other places we should look at for money? You don't have to agree with Mike. My panels. Huh? The more you disagree, the happier I am. So anyone agrees, disagrees? Is there any other places we should look for money opportunities?
Yeah, no, I think
okay.
Sorry, Budi. The old way of our, I would say, our old business, the older business we have, which is infrastructure, is opening quite a new field of opportunities. And these days with the development of AI, and when we look at the recent announcement of new data centers for AI in Europe, where the hyperscalers are planning to invest 200 billion euros in the next years, that's beyond that. There are a lot of need for connectivity, and globally for digital infrastructure, of course, data centers, energy for sure, and connectivity, dark fiber. And there's some key opportunities there, of course driven by the capacity wave, but also the need for resilience, and resilience in the context that we know, the geopolitical context we know currently. And also a lot of a need for sovereignty, creating sovereignty. Most of the government now are looking at where the data will be and what will be the journey of the data generated by their citizens, and that creates also a number of new opportunity fields for us to address.
Okay, Budi, I think you wanted to add something.
Yeah, I think just an addition to Mike and Emmanuel, I think on the API, network API, a lot of potential in that area, how we expose and leverage the telecom asset into the brand directly. In our case, we are trying to find the use case to provide a solution for the BSFI how we can provide the QIC for the customers. I think this is something that we can do, and then providing some more information related to the device of the user, some information of the users that can be exposed to all the brand to improve all the experience from the brand to the customers. Other than that, I think security is also quite important. I think now with more, as Mark earlier mentioned, I think a lot of security concern now, and the customers already have very high awareness on that. So with all the automation and the exposing on the API, all these things, the security also is the next things that can be monetized. Yeah.
Okay, and Nicola, I'm not usually going around the table, but this time I'm curious to know, where do you think the money is?
I'm not sure it's very smart to share with such large audience, especially with smart people. So, let's say at iBASIS, we think that also we have a significant role to play in the mobile identity area, and I think that's this is true for all my colleagues today. So we have a lot of information, and precious information, and real-time information that are extremely valuable for authentication, and we definitely think that there's a nice role to play after it's a combination of what has been said. But let's say if I had to put $10 in the machine, it would be on mobile identity.
Okay. Now, we can't have a session nowadays without talking about geopolitics, the geopolitical pressures that we see. I mean, every day brings a different story. It's like a moving target, actually. So how do you think the shift that we see at the moment will impact the wholesale business this year and going forward? Maybe, Budi, you can answer first.
Yeah, I think if you heard from Mark earlier, he's quite comprehensive, explaining about the context of the geopolitical situation. The key things that we got is, of course, the geopolitical situation, the heightening the security concerns, for everyone. I just put the real case, the simple case, how the geopolitical affecting our industry. Just take a sample on the subsea cable. Just put it into the real world that we have. With the geopolitical situation, a lot of security concern and compliance requirement. Just for instance, for some of the development of subsea cable going to US, a lot of there will be more scrutinizing and a compliance requirement for that, and the impact is takes longer in terms of the permitting and licensing for the cable, and it affect the deployment of the subsea cable become longer and longer nowadays because of all the security concerns. Not only that, the limitation in terms of the supplier as well, because now with all the security concern, we need to check whether we need to have all the fully trusted network. So it involves the selection of the vendor as well. So there will be a limitation because of that, and the implication is the cost or the capex that required could be increasing because of that. Just to give one real example, because of that situation, I think in some of the region, the supply of this subsea cable will not be able to cater the growth of the demand, right? Just take example from our region, talking about Southeast Asia to Europe. Most of the subsea cable capacity all gone, right? And the new project on the Simewi 6 is got delayed because of the geopolitical situation in Red Sea, right? And but it comes also with the opportunity. Sometimes the challenge comes with the opportunity, especially like for us, because Indonesia have the advantage with that situation now. From 9 of a new build cable project that we are doing, we are trying to provide the connectivity between Asia to US, that avoiding South China Sea, That's one thing. The other one is now to address situation in the Red Sea. We are trying to find a new road connecting Middle East, India, and then Indonesia going to US. So I think that situation also will force all the carriers to be more creative, finding the new solution, the new roads. But for sure, we're a bit worried if the supply is a bit lagging comparing to the growth of the demand. The only good thing is we are not facing a pressure in terms of the price erosion, but of course we have a limitation in terms of the growth in the future. Yeah.
Yes. Anyone wants to add anything to what Budi has said on the geopolitical shifts?
I think that the difficult thing is our answer today might be different tomorrow. I think that's all about what happens today, and I think it's agility is the key word, and maybe more than ever, and I think that's all about you need to be extremely agile. Obviously, when Budi is talking about let's say subsea assets, it's not the same just services. And the only thing that after we have a trend also sometimes the geopolitics also turn into also constraining, let's say, regulatory rules. The only positive things is the regulator are sometimes doing a kind of copy paste with some flavors of the other regions. So sometimes, let's say, we can think that okay, it will be an adaptation, and let's say being the father of something which became a monster, so-called OBR, for the guys who are familiar with voice. I think that's exactly what happens. Let's say from one region you adapt it, but thanks God, after for us it will be more or less the same logic, and let's say we'll not have to reinvent the wheel every time.
Okay. Now we're coming to a close. I think we could have discussed, much longer. I mean, I had many more questions for you guys, as you can imagine. But maybe to close us off, you know me, I like to close on a final message you leave the audience with. So if you could give one advice to people watching us today about how to remain relevant in the wholesale business today and into the future, what would it be? Emmanuel, why don't you go first?
Well, I would say openness, because we have the digital transformation is global, and we as telco, we are by essence local, and even if we are multi-local sometimes. So if we don't open and work together, we will not be able to build this global platform that is required by the global transformation, the digital transformation.
Okay, Mike.
For me, I think, Isabelle, and it kind of touches on what Emmanuel said, it's really about having evolving partnerships. And I think in telco, we've always had very classical wholesale, resale type of partnerships. And you look in the software world, and there's much broader ecosystems of collaboration and capability to help people with differentiate go-to-market models or propositions. And I think really being able to evolve your business with changing and evolving partnership models from a wholesale point of view, for me, is absolutely key.
Okay. Budi?
Well, be adaptive, because the market always changes, geopolitical situation changing, and be open also for the partnership. Mark said that it should be inclusive and innovative to answer the customer problem. Yeah.
Okay, and finally, Nicolas?
Okay, I would say I will repeat, maybe it's better to take the wave rather than being hit by the wave. And I think it's also the good news, it's to embrace also all those changes and to go fast. I think it's all about people. And I think the relationship is still very critical. This is very true, I think, in our wholesale business, because it's easier to embrace new technologies if you know, okay, I can rely on this guy, and not, let's say I want to address a new market when you have already some connections. So I think that's
okay.
I don't have the exact answer, but
I think it's pretty good. I think we did pretty good. I think we did good after Mark. I think we should be proud of ourselves. So guys, thank you so much. I think, as I said, we could have talked much longer. I had many other topics, so maybe we can redo a panel again soon. So thank you very much for taking part.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Isabelle.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, thanks.
Cheers. Thanks, everyone.